Okay, so just to let you know today, I've got quite a lot of information for you. And so I'm going to give you information on muscles, on emotional connections to back pain, and also the link with the meridian as well. All right, so there's quite a lot of information, but I'll just talk to you as I normally do when you've done my yin classes before. I'll just talk to you as you're in the pose, so we can get nice and comfortable and then just listen to me. Okay, so I've got a few variations on poses today. So first of all, cross your legs, whichever way you prefer. So because we're going to do both sides. Okay, so we'll just stay and just center ourselves for a moment. So just place your hands in front of your heart center. Make sure your spine is nice and long, and just take a nice few deep breaths. Okay, so bringing your hands down by your sides, and then inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, reach your arms forward, and just as much as they will come down. Okay, so here's some ideas for support. So if you can reach your forearms to the ground, then great. If not, you could always use a block or a rolled up towel or a cushion under your forearms. If you're just in this position here, absolutely fine, just let your back go. If you can come a little bit further, then you could maybe use the block to rest your head. I really didn't think I'd like this pose, and then when I did it this morning, I was like, oh, it's really nice. It's a really nice release for your back. So just resting your head onto any kind of props that you've got to hand. We're just going to spend 2 minutes in this pose with the legs both sides, both ways, and it's a little bit of a warm up to the next pose. So just breathing nice and deep. So remember, you can inhale for a count of 4 and exhale for a count. And as you're in each pose, really try to think about relaxing your muscles. Notice if you're holding tension anywhere that's holding you in place. Okay, nice and gently now, just start to walk your hands back up so you come gently back up to an upright position. Okay, and then just take your legs out to the side. Flat feet, put your hands just behind you, fingertips facing your toes, and then lift up through your back. So imagine, we call this a sunbathing pose. So you're lifting up the chest. If I just show you from the side so you can see, and it's just taking the back in the opposite direction. So we were in flexion, and this is extension. Okay, now releasing back down, and then this time we're going to change the order of the legs. So you'll find that one way is quite comfortable for you, and maybe the other way is not so comfortable. Okay, so breathe in and take your arms up. And then breathe out and bring yourself down. You come to whichever position is good for you. So some of you might be able to bring your chest right down towards the ground. My hip makeup doesn't allow that. So I just use my block under my head, just so that I can completely relax through my back and my shoulders and my arms, and my head is supported. Now, if you're a little bit tight in the hips, then you might feel this in the hips as well. But the longer that we stay here, you might feel that the sensations change from the hips to the back, or maybe the back to the hips, depending on where you're tightest, I guess. So just breathe nice and deep. As you breathe, just notice tension in your body. If you can feel a little bit of tension in an area of your back or an area of your hip, then just send your breath there and just visualize that muscle relaxing, almost like melting. And that will just give you space to move a little bit more. Obviously in Yin, we don't want to be pushing too hard. It's kind of counterproductive, because when we push, our muscles will engage, and we want our muscles to relax. Okay, nice and gently now start to bring yourself back up. So it's important that we move nice and slow, because it's taken us, we were there for 2 minutes and 2 minutes for the other side. So it takes us a little while to sink and let go. So important we come out nice and slow. Okay, so again, bring your legs out in front of you with your feet flat. You can take your hands behind, lift up through your chest so you go into back extension. And then if you dropped your head back like I did here, maybe just bring it back again to the front, and you can windscreen wiper your legs so you can get a little bit of movement into that hip. Okay, but we're going to come and do a similar pose now, but we're going to stay there for a little bit longer. Now, when I practiced this morning, because I always design my classes and then practice them to see how they feel and make any last minute changes. And then we're going to lean forward. Okay, now I found that when I lean forward here, it just says internet connection waiting. So, okay, so when I leant forward here, I felt like I wanted to fall to this side. Okay, so what I did was I placed a block, I'm going to use a mat this time, just under my knee. So if your knee's just slightly off the ground, then place something under your knee, just so that's supported so you don't roll to that side. Okay, so then bring yourself forward, and again you can use your block or a rolled up towel, whatever you have to hand, to then again rest your head on. Now I also found this, so this is just something that's maybe just the design of my body. I find that when I bend one leg in like this and then fold forward, it's a little bit uncomfortable on the back of my leg. It almost feels like it's compressing a nerve, feels a bit burny and a bit tingly. So if you experience any of those, don't sit through the pose, okay? So all you'll need to do is come up and just maybe move your foot in a direction that makes it go away, all right? So if you do feel any tingling going through your leg, maybe into the toes, or a little burning sensation behind your leg, then come out of it and get yourself into a position where it doesn't happen. All right, so this morning, and it's happening again, it took me a few moves to get it right, but once you get it right, then you can let go and sink in. So the great things about the two poses that we've done so far, quite often, if you have a bad back, it's caused by, can be caused by many things, but one of the things is tight hamstrings. Okay, so tight muscles down the back of your leg. So whenever we do any forward folding, which is obviously good for your back, when the legs are straight, it makes it difficult to go into the back. So our first pose that we just did takes out the hamstrings completely, allowing the back to really fold forward and let go. And then this one was starting to bring the hamstrings in a little bit, but just one leg at a time makes it a much more gentler approach. So just as you're here, try to relax through the thigh of the left leg, so the thigh of the straight leg. Try to relax through that. Make sure that you're not kind of gripping yourself in any position. So that's why we use props in Yin, to support our body so that we can really start to feel the benefits. It may be that you can reach your arms right forward and your head comes to the ground. It's not quite like that for me just yet. Okay, nice and slowly then start to bring yourself back up. All right then, and then we can remove our props and you can straighten your right leg and bring the left leg in. So just put it into a position that suits you, okay? So again, you can see that my knee is only a little bit off the ground here, but it does still make me feel like I want to roll that way. So if yours is the same, then just pop something under your knee. If your knee is much higher, then pop it under your thigh if you can, under your femur. And then bring yourself forward again to release your back. Let's say that your forward fold is, if your back is quite tight, or maybe your hip is tight, you could use lots of cushions to stack them under your chest. Okay, so the aim really is to be quite comfortable with a slight discomfort. Okay, so your slight discomfort is bringing yourself to your edge. Okay, so the edge of your flexibility, and then trying to relax and sink deeper into the pose. So we're spending about 4 minutes in each pose today. But by all means, when I say we're spending 4 minutes, if you feel that you've had enough in a pose, if it's become a little bit too much for you, by all means back off from the pose. So we would back off by just walking the hands up a little bit, just taking that off the lower back slightly. Or if your knee complains, then you can move your foot away from your body. Okay, so just don't have any joint pain, certainly in your knees. Making sure that the right leg is nice and relaxed through to the foot. So whereas in our dynamic yogas, we focus on pointing the foot to the ceiling, here we can just relax the leg and relax the foot. So just as you're here, we have another minute or so just as you're here, just have a little scan of your body. So bring your attention to your right thigh, the leg that is straight, and just notice if you've engaged your muscles and try to let those go. And the same with the left hip. Again, try to focus on the muscles around that hip and try to let go. Sometimes the muscles engage just a little bit and you're really not aware. But the more you practice Yin and become aware of your body, you can really start to feel when you have just the slightest bit of tension. Okay, so nice and gently now start to make your way back up. Okay, so then you can just straighten your left leg, straighten both legs, and maybe just, I'm knocking my video here, but just lift and lower your knees. Okay, so the next pose, my hamstrings are pretty good, okay, so I can forward fold very, very well, but I really found this made a huge difference this morning. So a bent leg caterpillar. So caterpillar is Paschimottanasana, you know your Sanskrit names in the dynamic yoga. I used a block under my knees here. You can use anything that just elevates your knees a little bit so you've got this bend in your legs. Okay, and then from here, fold yourself forward. And you can wrap your arms under your legs. Rest your head down. So the idea here is to relax through your legs, okay? So if you do your dynamic yoga with me as well, then you know that I'm always saying, engage your thighs, lift your kneecaps, engage your thighs, okay, because it helps your hamstrings lengthen. But what we are focusing on today is our lower back. And if we have our legs straight, even me with my legs straight, I can feel it more in my hamstrings than my back. But today, when I did it with the block under my knees, taking my hamstrings out of the equation, so my body is laid flat onto my legs, I felt it in my back so much more. So if your head doesn't come down to your legs, you could always stack your fists and toward here. You could use another cushion, a rolled up towel, anything just to have you in this kind of position where you feel nice and supported. We have a lovely breeze today. It's so hot and sunny today, but we have a lovely breeze that keeps coming occasionally. Just gives you that little bit of reprieve. When we get to 3 minutes on this pose, those of you that want to straighten your legs for the last minute, then we can do. But I'm sure as you're in this pose now, I'm sure you can feel it more in your back than the back of your legs. So what happens when the hamstrings are short? It pulls your pelvis slightly, okay? So it changes the angle of your pelvis into a posterior tilt. And then this can give you backache. And obviously in that position for quite some time will over time make your back ache, a chronic backache. Okay, so we're at 3 minutes. So if you wish to, you can remove the block from under your legs and then just fold yourself forward. If your hamstrings are a little bit tight, I certainly wouldn't remove the block and straighten your legs. I mean, it's good to push your hamstrings a little bit, but if they're quite tight, then and you do suffer with a bad back, then my recommendation for this class would just be to keep that slight bend in your legs. There's other classes that we can do where we'll work on the hamstrings. Okay, so nice and gently now start to bring yourself up. Okay. So we were in back flexion. We've done quite a bit of back flexion. That's folding forwards. You can bend your legs again and then just lift your chest up and you can drop your head back if that feels okay. So in the back extension, what we aim to do is arch the back. Okay, so we're taking it in the opposite direction to what we were just in. Okay, bringing the head back up, and then the next pose that I want to do is called cat pulling its tail. Now it's quite a complicated pose to get into, okay, and I'm going to have a little variation on it today. So we would lie down onto our side, so kind of like half on your side, and be propped up on your elbow. All right, so you'd be like this. I'll start this side, I think. Right, now your bottom knee, bend your leg and try to get your knee so it's pointing straight down as opposed to forward. Okay, and then take hold of your foot behind. So you're in what you might know as a quad stretch in the gym. Okay, and then your left leg, the top leg, whichever leg it is, it doesn't matter, can just be straight, slightly bent, however, it doesn't matter. My focus today isn't on the hamstring of this leg, okay? It's going to be on the front of the bottom leg, right? And then we're in a slight hyperextension of the back as well. So you can kind of see how this pose is called cat pulling its tail. It looks a little bit like the position that cats are in. So I'm just going to stay here for one more moment, and then I'm going to switch legs so you can see the position that I'm in, but I don't want you to change, okay? So you stay how you are. So I make sure that my knee is pointing down to the bottom of my mat, and then my leg can just be straight. Now you'll see the position that I'm in here, actually my back is in a little bit of a hyperextension. All right, so this is good for your spine. Okay, now you can stay like this, all right, and you can put support under your, in between, you know, the top of your side here. So in this space here, you could put support to keep you in that position. But if it feels okay, then come to lying down. Okay, so as you lie down, make sure that your bottom knee is still pointing to the bottom of your mat. If I move my leg here, you see my knee is pointing downwards as opposed to coming into my body like this. Okay, so get it pointing down and then straighten that top leg and just relax. And then your arm can be wherever. What I often teach in this pose is to hold onto this foot so we get a quad at the front of one leg and the back of the other leg. But I don't want to do that today, simply because it takes the back hyperextension out. Okay, and I want to keep your back in a hyperextension. It's very nourishing for your spine to take it in both directions. So this now, working on the front of the bottom leg, into the back, obviously, because you have a slight twist and the hyperextension. On the front of your bottom leg, the leg that is bent, it's going to come into the hip flexors. So where your muscles go up over your hip. So if these muscles in your quads, the front of your leg, yeah, and the hip flexors are tight, then that takes the pelvis in the other direction. So short hamstrings give a posterior tilt, and short hip flexors give it an anterior tilt. And then anterior tilt is when you see people that have a very big curvature in their lower back and their bum sticks out a lot. This can be hyperlordosis. So this can also cause back problems. So we want to make sure that the muscles and the connections that cross over the hips and the hamstrings are nice and loose. All right, so at least if we know that those are okay, then you can just focus on the back problem. But quite often it's these muscles. So just try to relax through your bottom leg and relax through your top leg. So if it's too much on the hamstring of the top leg to have it straight and bend it, it's fine. The biggest focus is on the bottom leg and the back right now. This pose, so just gently release the bottom leg, and then you can roll onto your back. Okay, so let's just wait here for a moment, and maybe you can feel the sensations in the leg that's been bent and the twists and hyperextension of your back. Maybe you can feel the effects of that. Okay, so we're going to go on to the other side. So I'm going to get you into the pose and then I'm going to move because the sun is in my face. So come up onto your left elbow and bend your left leg. So if you did the right leg before, it's fine. Just do the opposite side. Okay, then your top leg is straight. So again, just making sure that the knee is pointing down to the bottom of your mat. And if it's too much for you, if you tried lying down and it was too much, then prop yourself with cushions in this space here so that you can almost relax onto the cushions. What we don't want really is for you to sink into your shoulder because that could cause us more issues. So if this is all good for you, then you can come down onto your back and just make sure that when you lay down, your knee still is pointing to the bottom of the mat because when we lay down, obviously any muscles that are in the front of our body here are going to need that extra stretch, and your knee could have come close to your body. So just make sure it's still in that same position. And you guys stay there. I'm just going to change my side headers. So if you aim to bring the hand that is holding the foot, if you aim to bring that shoulder down towards the ground, I mean, it's going to be lifted off the ground a bit, but just aim, like it down towards the ground, and it would just increase the rotation on your spine a little bit. Keeping your breath nice and deep, and just relax through the top leg. Again, check in with your body, just make sure nothing has engaged. Try to relax through your top leg. So not too much longer now here, so just keep your breath nice and deep. And just notice if you can relax another 5%, but still you may have a little bit of discomfort in the thigh of the bent leg, or maybe a little bit of discomfort into the back. Discomfort is okay, pain isn't okay. So hopefully you can distinguish the difference, especially if you do have a bad lower back. Okay, so releasing the bottom leg now, careful because it might just spring away. And then gently roll onto your back. So again, we move nice and slow, especially if you do have an issue with your back. We need to let the body know that it's nice and safe so that we don't go into spasm, and that's why we move very nice and slowly in yin, and we allow time to relax into the pose. So bringing these in towards your chest if that feels nice, and then you can have a little roll around on your spine. Okay, so we're going to stay in this kind of position, and we're going to come into happy baby. But what I would like, if you do have a prop, a block, or a rolled up strong towel or something like that, then I would like you to pop it just under your bum. Okay, so we don't want to be touching really onto the bone. You'll know exactly the right position, because when you come into happy baby here holding your feet, if the block is pushed up too much, you'll feel almost like you're going to sit on top of the block, okay, as if you could quite easily roll on top of it. So we want it just on the fleshy kind of part. Okay, so it brings your bum up off the ground. Might take a little bit of maneuvering to get it in the right place. And then come into happy baby. So your hands are holding your feet on the outside of your feet, but your arms are on the inside of your legs. So elbows on the inside, hands onto the outside. Okay, and then coming into happy baby here. Okay, so I just explain why I'm using the block here is to release the SI joint. So the SI joint is the sacroiliac joint. and it's the little kind of like plate of bone that's at the bottom of your spine, the joints there. So just taking that extra little curve will help to open it up. So the SI joint can often be diagnosed, one of the problems that causes a tendon in the lower back. So just whilst you relax here, if by the way you couldn't hold your feet that easily, then you could always use a strap around your feet. You could also hold onto your big toes if that's an easier option for you. But if it's quite easy to reach your feet, then hold. And then you aim your knees down towards your underarms. So immediately then, just problems can be because you have anxieties about your situation. And I can imagine at this time of this funny that we're going through, maybe that is the case for a lot of people, self-employed people, or, maybe if you lost your job. However it is, if you've had back pain for quite some time, then maybe consider the situation that you were in when the back pain first started. So what can happen is we have emotions and we put them away. So you could put them into your conscious or your unconscious mind. And then what happens is when something similar happens, it can trigger that emotion. And that is why you have this repetition of a bad back or whatever it is. So another resource that I read said that the right side was financial, you're worried about financial issues, and the left side is more about emotional support. So let's say you have no financial issues at all, or you're not worried about finances, then it could be the same trigger as the upper back, which is the lack of emotional support. So this is quite an intense pose after a little while, so I hope you're doing okay. If it becomes too much, then just you can straighten your legs and release the pose for a moment, or just take the pressure off a little bit. Okay, we're done. All right, so really nice and gently then release your legs, and let's take the block away from underneath our bum or your rolled up towel, and bring your feet first of all down to the mat. I hope you can see me okay. It looks very dark and then very bright, so I hope it's okay. Okay, and then stay here just for a moment, just whilst your back gets used to being flat again after being curled up. And you might need longer, but as soon as you're ready, then just start to straighten your leg down the mat. So we can just release off the hip flexors. So the hip flexors that run over the hips here, they've been crunched up, all right? So they might just need just a few moments just to have a little bit of space to breathe. And then again, when you're ready, just bend your legs, place your feet onto the mat, and just nice and gently, you can lift yourself up. Okay, so this just provides a bit of space into the muscles here, which were kind of like crunched up in that position, and also takes our back into a hyperextension again. So when we're in happy baby, we were in a back flexion, and then this, we're lifting it up for a hyperextension. Okay, so relaxing back down again. Okay, so turning over onto your stomach this time. Okay, so this one I think is going to feel quite nice after those. I think some of those can be a little bit intense, especially after a few moments. So if you have a big rolled up towel or a block, then we're going to come into Sphinx pose. You can roll it under kind of like your lower rib area and then rest yourself down. If you don't have any kind of support whatsoever, then just your forearms on your mat is absolutely fine. And here you can have a little bit of a play around with the width of your feet. So you could have your feet so that they're completely straight in line, your legs, or if you open your legs a little bit, you'll find it goes a little bit deeper onto your lower back. So just coming back to the emotions, obviously with my probably very limited knowledge of meridians and traditional Chinese medicine compared to obviously some very skilled people, but just during research on the emotions, then I actually discovered that sometimes you can take on emotions even before you're born. So in the womb, you can take on the emotions like from your mother. So whatever was going on, so perhaps she had emotional worries, financial worries, and that was passed on to you. So if this could be you, then maybe do some meditation and some reflection about how you can deal with the fear and the anxiety about finances. And like I said, if you don't have any fears or anxieties about financial issues, then maybe about how you can gain a little bit more support. Okay, so we've been here just 2 minutes, and so if you want to take it a little bit deeper, then turn your hands to the outside slightly, and then just straighten up through your arms. Okay, so you're lifting yourself up off of your support. Now your bum will engage, so just try to relax your bum cheeks. And you might feel that that's a little bit intense on your lower back. By all means, if it's too much, then just come back down to your forearms. You can lessen the intensity by walking your hands further away, or you can increase the intensity by walking your hands closer to your body. And that just increases your hyperextension of your back. If you do that, just make sure that your shoulders don't go up to your ears and you're nice and relaxed through your bum. A little bit, tiny bit of engagement of the bum cheeks is okay, all right, but don't kind of like squeeze your bum, because you'll notice that when you do squeeze your bum compared to when you relax it, it goes much deeper when you relax it. Okay, so nice and gently now, bringing yourself back down to your forearms, moving your support out of the way. And we're just going to come to child's pose now. So put your hands by your shoulders, lift yourself up. And if your back is really quite tender from that one, maybe just stay here for a few seconds before you come down into child's pose. If it's quite okay, then you can come straight into child's pose. So here your knees are probably the same width of your hips apart, and your feet are together, and you're sitting your bum down onto your heels. Now you can reach your arms forward and rest your head down. If you don't quite get your head to the ground, then you can always put your head onto your rolled up towel or your cushion or your block. So just with your arms forward, just make sure that you're not pressing your arms into the mat. Okay, so in our dynamic yogas, we would really try and engage, you know, muscles, whereas here we're trying to let go of the muscles so that the stretch goes deeper into the connective tissues and stresses the tendons, the joints, the fascia. And really, I can say from personal experience that, you know, when you stay in a pose for like, I would say about 4 minutes, like what I'm doing today, after maybe 3 minutes or so, you can start to feel things start to relax and sink down. Okay, so I'm just using the child's pose here as a counter pose actually, because there's another pose that I really want to do and we're running out of time. So if you do this practice on your own, maybe you could pause the video and stay here for 4 minutes. We've been here 2. So bring yourself up now onto your hands and knees, and we're going to come into our one but last pose. Probably just going to run about 5 minutes over in total, I hope that's okay. So lie yourself down. I'm going to face this way so you can see my legs properly. Okay, so I lie down onto my back and I'm going to walk my feet to one side. Okay, so from my upper body to my waist is straight, and then my feet have been walked to one side. Now what I tend to do here is I take my outside leg and I cross it over my inside leg to trap it in place, okay, so that I can then fully relax. The weight of this leg keeps this leg in place. Take the arms above the head and then bring your arms around to the side. Okay, so then you're in a C shape. So I'm just going to move so you can see my arms if need be. So what I tend to do is hold onto my forearm, if you can see. You could have your arms straight, but I tend to find that my arms then will dangle. So I hold onto my forearm, and my arms are here. So I'm kind of like in this position above my head. And then you can just put your head wherever it feels most comfortable. So whichever way you want to look, I tend to just look straight to the sky. And if I told you this pose was called Bananasana, you probably wouldn't believe me. Banana pose. And I think you can probably guess why. So nice and deep breathe in, and you will probably feel quite a pull on your side. And then this will go through into the back also. So during this class, we have worked primarily on the kidney and the urinary bladder meridian. And this is how I love, you know, like when things come together. So the research that I've been doing on pain and emotions, and then when we are working the urinary bladder and the kidney, this is where our willpower is held, our strength, our tenacity. And if your kidney meridian is out of balance, then that's when we suffer from fear. So then you can make the connection between fear and anxiety about maybe financial issues or either for your lower back, as I said, or just maybe if it's out of kilter, if it's out of balance, then we suffer from fear. But if we overcome fear, we can have wisdom, create wisdom. So this one, you would look at this pose and think, oh, that looks easy. But I can certainly feel it, so I hope you guys are having an effect from it too. Okay, so I'm just going to do 3.5 minutes there. So just bring your upper body back to center, and then just gently uncross your legs and walk your legs back to center. And we could go straight into the other side, but personally I like to release my back off a little bit. So I don't generally have an issue with my lower back at all, but you know, I think when you're in a position for a time, you can certainly feel everything release, and it's nice to just give your body a moment to get used to what you're doing. Okay, so taking the legs down again, and this time walking them to the other side. Okay, and then as I say, I use my outer leg just to cross over my inner leg to trap it in place, so then I don't have to use my muscles to keep it in place. And then bring your upper body round as well. And then change which arm you're holding. So now my legs are going to the left. So my left hand is going to hold my right arm, just as I take my arms above my head. So for our one but last pose, just keeping your breath nice and deep. You may find that one side feels much tighter than the other, and this is normal. Generally, we're tighter on one side than we are on the other. So for me, this side is absolutely fine, whereas the other side was really, you know, I could feel it quite intense quite quickly. Now that the sun is starting to go down over the bamboo hut, I'm being caught direct sunlight, which is quite nice, but I've been in the sun quite a bit today, so. Breath, nice and deep, just relax through your body. just a few more seconds in this position. And then as part of our Shavasana today, we're going to do a nice breathing technique with you. Okay, so really nice and gently now, start to bring your upper body back to being straight. And then you can unhook your legs and walk your legs back around so that your body is nice and straight. And then bend into the knees. And again, do this at your own pace. This speed is okay for me. I don't generally have a bad back. But you know, we want to take our time and not rush anything. You can have a little massage through the back just by rolling around on your spine. Okay, now we have been quite intense on the lower back today. So if you want some support for to take a little bit of pressure off your back, when you come to your Shavasana here, you can put a cushion or anything under your knees, anything that you have to hand. And even if you don't have a problem with your lower back, this support under your knees is actually really, really nice. So decide on your position. And I'm just going to talk you through a pranayama. So I want you to lie down and get yourself nice and comfortable. So this is going to be the same position that you do your Shavasana also. Your left hand comes to your side and your palm faces upwards. Okay, just like your Shavasana. Your right hand, I want you to place onto your belly. Okay, so we're going to practice some belly breathing. So breathe in, and as you breathe in, let your stomach muscles go. So your abdomen rises, your belly rises, and then when you breathe out, your tummy will sink. Okay, so let's just have a little practice of breathing in and the tummy goes up, breathing out and the tummy goes down. Breathing in, tummy goes up, and breathing out, and the belly comes down. Okay, so continue with this, and you can go at whatever speed you like. If you focus your mind on counting 1, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. Continue at your own pace, but just having the counting, if you're counting, then it focuses your mind a little bit more. Okay, so if you struggle that your mind is going to drift off, then you can count as you breathe. And this belly breathing is extremely relaxing. If you struggle to sleep at night, do this for 5 minutes and I'm sure you'll be well away off to sleep. So the belly breathing will encourage the parasympathetic nervous system. So this is your rest and restore. The time that you're in parasympathetic is when you are nice and relaxed in your Yin Yoga, when you're asleep, and when you do pranayama. Just continue with your breathing. Feeling the belly as it goes up. And feeling the belly with the exhale as it goes down. Whenever you're ready, you can place your right hand down onto your mat with your palm facing upwards so that you're in your Shavasana. So gently bring the awareness back to your body on the mat. Start to have a little bit of movement through your fingers and your toes, and deepen your breath. And now take a nice big inhale and take your arms all the way up over the top of your head. Bend your legs. Maybe just push your support away with your feet if you're using one. Feet to your sit bones. And then gently roll to your left side, using your left arm as a pillow. When you're ready, bring yourself up to seated. Keeping your eyes closed and place your hands in front of your heart center. So we will finish the class with one Om. So take a nice deep breath in. Om. Slowly open your eyes. Namaste.